1, 2, 3, 4.
Chant down Babylon kingdom, Natty make we chant down Vatican now. Bang bling bling, chant down Babylon kingdom, Natty make we chant down Vatican now. Chant down Babylon kingdom, Natty make we chant down Vatican now. Bang bling bling, chant down Babylon kingdom, Natty make we chant down Vatican now.
What up, y'all? It's Babylon 5 Podcast. It's your boy, Jermaine Event. How you guys doing? This is episode 109. Calling this bad boy first grade. You guys might be like, why are you calling this episode first grade? Well, that's because simply in the first grade, I was in room 109. Miss Brewer's class. First grade. At A.E. Burdick. So, broke my wrist that year. You know what I'm saying? There was a fight on the school bus. I broke my wrist that year. In the first grade, I wasn't in the fight. There was a fight between two kids, and all the kids were running to see the fight, and I got trampled in the process. And broke my wrist. Mufasa ain't got shit on me. I got trampled. And I'm here to bring you the Babylon 5 Podcast. Ladies and gentlemen. Mufasa ain't got shit on me. So we're calling this bad boy first grade. First grade. 19 whoever. First grade for me was probably like 96? I think that's what the splash painted yearbook said, 96. You know what I'm saying? The 90s were a good time. It was an interesting time, I'll say. We had movies in my childhood that have been since remade. And very recently, they remade the movie Candyman, ladies and gentlemen. Candyman, yes. It was supposed to come out last year, but then the whole thing with the pandemic, theaters shut down, so it's pushed back to this year. And it was a great movie, ladies and gentlemen. I would say this movie was pretty phenomenal. It had me captivated, from the start to finish. I'm I haven't seen the first movie in quite some time. So when I saw that it was taking place in Chicago, I'm like, damn, did the first movie take place in, did the original story take place in Chicago? And I Googled that, and it turns out that the original Candyman story actually takes place in London. It takes place in London. And when they made it into a movie, the guy felt like with all the segregation and shit in Chicago, especially with places like Cabrini Green, felt like it made more sense for him to move the movie to be filmed in Chicago instead of London. I was always curious, as I was growing up, we hear all the stories of America and the segregation and what it was like here. And to hear that the Candyman story was originally a story of segregation. And, in the original story, they chased down a man who was dating a white woman. They fell in love. They chased him down, beat him, rubbed honeycomb on him from a local beehive. And then bees came and stung him to death. Or they stung him and then they eventually burned him, apparently, is what they're saying. So that story, though, initially took place in London. So I was always curious what the shit was like in other countries when segregation was here. Was there any places you could go and just be treated like a person? You know what I'm saying? I was curious. I'm still curious about it now. Where can you go and just be treated like a person? I don't know. One day, That's the goal, I guess. So it was like produced by Jordan Peele. I forget the woman's name. Who I think it's like Ava D something. I forget. But shout out to her, man. They did a great with the remake. They got the original Candyman in there. Old boy that played Dr. Manhattan in The Watchmen. He's like the main character of the movie, man. It's just like the playbacks they have to like the old Candyman. And then they tie in stories about how like it's not just necessarily one person, like throughout the times. Like there's been multiple Candymen depending on like just how like basically how black men have been treated like wrongly through racism, like unwarrantedly, you know what I'm saying? If they've been wrongly, like in this case, they kill these people. The police come in and just kill these people. And then it turns out they're innocent the whole time. And then those people then take on the spirit of Candyman, apparently. So the way they were setting this up, I'm like, they're setting this up so that at any point they can have a Candyman that's starring a new person because the Candyman spirit has like hundreds of years of lineage. So from what they were explaining, and yeah, I'm not gonna like spoil too much of it, but they're basically setting it up so that Candyman can go on forever, essentially. So I was like, that's pretty cool, man. It's pretty cool how they're setting it up. But as I'm saying, they had the original Candyman in this movie. A lot older, you know what I'm saying, obviously. He was the Candyman in 1992. And here he is in 2021 reprising the role of Candyman. And as I'm saying, he's old and they're setting it up so that you can continue with Candyman. And he can look different because of how they're setting it up. So we don't get too many good monster movies like this. You know what I'm saying? Like mythical monster movies. Especially one where all the black people live and, well, most of the black people live, just white people just dying off and all the black people are living. I was like, yo, because, you know, it's weird. I mean, I don't think I'm spoiling too much. This is like a theme that you see in life. You got like a lot of white people in this movie who, they hear about the whole Candyman thing. And it's like, nigga, if you say it 5 times in the mirror, homeboy will show up and murder everyone in the room, right? This is what they're told. This is what they hear. And so many of them are like, let's just do it and see what happens. And it ends in a brutal murder every time. It ends in a brutal murder every time, and it's like, why are they doing this shit? Why are they doing this shit? I feel like at one point, these girls were about to do it, and there's an Asian girl in the room, and she was like, nah, fuck this, and ran out of there. I was like, yes, don't you stay in that room, young lady. Don't you let them white girls talk you into this nonsense. What's the best case scenario for anyone in that movie when they fucking are like, let's just go in the mirror and do it. Let's just try it out. What do you want? What do you want to happen? You want to be proven wrong? Is that what you want? Is that what you want? Just to be like, oh, I fucking did it and nothing happened. Or you want to be brutally murdered. I don't understand why you're even taking that risk. Like, did you not watch the news? People died in front of an exhibit, in front of a mirror, throats cut, slashed the fuck up. And just like a day or two later, you got like 5 girls in the bathroom like, oh, let's try it out. Nigga, are you crazy? Are you crazy? What's the best case scenario? What's the best case scenario? There's no best case scenario. Best case scenario is you're brutally murdered as it should happen. If you say these things, if you call a fucking mythical monster the Candyman in the way that they say you do, if you do that, bam, it happens. And that was just a reoccurring theme. I don't know, it's with all those scary movies. I remember when I was a child, the theme was like, you got the white girl running away from the killer, and then she's going to look back and then trip. And, you know, it's going to be super dramatic, but, like, that was, like, always the look back and trip, like, dramatic fall as you're running from the serial killer. And that was, this is one of those things, like, that was just a reoccurring theme. Just people doing dumb shit. Just a lot of people doing dumb shit. But if you guys want to follow this podcast on Instagram and Twitter, it's at Babylon5Pod. You can follow my personal account at my name's Jermaine. You can email this podcast at Babylon5podcast@gmail.com. You can follow this podcast at Babylon5.podbean.com. You can listen to this podcast on Podbean, Stitcher, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, YouTube, pretty much anywhere podcasts stream. If you guys are on Xbox, go ahead and add me. My gamer tag is SauceBoss414. If you guys are on Twitch, so sorry. Pardon me. If you guys are on Twitch, go ahead and follow me at twitch.tv/Babylon5pod, follow me at twitch.tv/Babylon5. If you guys want to buy some merchandise, and why not, go ahead and buy a t-shirt. Go to teespring.com/stores/BOFpod-shop. And go ahead and be my patrons. As I told you guys before, I brought down the tiers to just $1. $1 will make you a patron. Go to patreon.com/Babylon5pod. You'll get this episode as soon as it's uploaded. Oh shit, I should upload Still Bitter. I said I was. Guess I'm gonna upload that in a day or two here. So yeah, you'll get Still Better. If you're a patron, you'll get it early. But for everybody else, speaking of Still Bitter will be dropping October 8th, 2021, ladies and gentlemen. It's already processed and sent through to the stores already. So, you know, I released a video for my song Buzzed. It's the 4th track on the project, the last track on the project. I filmed it myself, edited it myself. I'm just teaching myself how to use these fucking programs. You know what I'm saying? I got this camera that I'm using here. I'm learning, trying to just learn different techniques and things like that. Just get comfortable. I want to be as comfortable, if not more, with video editing, with photo editing, that I am with audio, you know, as I am with doing what I do here, or making beats. You know, I'm very comfortable with making beats. Very comfortable with getting this sound to sound great. I don't have the patience to sit there and fine tooth comb every fucking thing that I'm doing. I don't have the patience for that. But yeah, trying to teach myself all these things. I got footage right now. I'm working on the video for my song Kwame. But I have shot a video for my song The Realist, but I thought to myself I wasn't going to use that footage, but actually, like, now that I'm done, I'm learning new techniques with Adobe Premiere Pro. I might actually be able to salvage that footage and do something with it. I mean, it's a lot of footage that I actually shot for that song that I was planning to use, and then I just shot the video for Buzz. And I like that because the experience from shooting the Realist or working on the Realist video, I had a better idea of what I wanted to shoot and what I was going to do with that footage when it was time to shoot Buzz, the second video that I shot. So the Realist, is like the first video that I was shooting with this camera and like learning Premiere Pro and all the different like effects that I could do. That's when I was trying to like learn it as I fucking started doing the Realist. But as I'm learning more about like color grading, color correction, these are two different things, ladies and gentlemen. As I'm learning more about these things and just like the different effects and transitions using Adobe After Effects and all that, just trying to learn these programs, this whole project will just be all me. I reached out to some videographers, kind of like, well, I saw some shit that they were doing. I was like on Instagram, some artists that they were working with, and their shit looks phenomenal. But and I hit them up, but then I was thinking back, like, let me just wait for the follow-up project. Will be a full-length project. It'll be called Content. It's more about, I've already started working on it, and it's more positivity, you know what I'm saying? It's more about good vibes and positivity. I'm still bitter on this one, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm comfortable with shooting these videos myself. I'm watching a lot of these videos, local people, and, you know, that don't impress me much. You know what I'm saying? It's only a few of y'all. Like, I don't count any of the fucking, if you're a backline artist, then I don't count you as, like, a part of this. Like, I watched the video with, Immortal Girlfriend. Shout out to them. The video was fucking fire. But that video must have cost thousands of dollars. Fucking, they take a fucking vase. The guy in the video, like, breaks a vase on this girl's face, and then it, like, cuts her, it, like, splits her face open. He sees that she's, like, a android or something, like a robot under there. Then the skin just, like, regenerates back. Nigga, that, a fire broke out. Nigga, that shit costed, that shit must have been, like, $5,000 to $10,000 for everything that was going on. It was like it was the official video / short film. That shit was probably like $10,000, nigga. So I'm not counting anybody who has that kind of backline funding. I'm talking about just regular people. When I look at people in the city, just like, no matter the genre, really, the videos aren't really that too high quality. And they're definitely, I don't see people utilizing a lot of the effects that I'm learning about. I've not seen any of these people utilize the effects. It doesn't even necessarily look like they're, even if they are filming with 4K, there's no color grading or color correction to their video. It looks pretty flat. So, at this point, with Still Bitter, I'm definitely comfortable with shooting videos myself. I just filmed a video for Kwame, and as I said, I have a video for The Realist. The last song on the album that I wouldn't have a video for is my song In the Cut. And that's only because, well, there's a few reasons. Well, it's a song I have with Sean Smart, who, he lives in Texas right now. And the song is about smoking weed for the most part. You know, I'm always sporadic with the way I write. I'm all over the place. I just, you know, it's more about flow for me. But the song essentially is about smoking weed, and yeah, I just, through my experiences, like when I put out the Grump and I'm smoking a cigarette, and it was like, well, you can't promote this on YouTube. I mean, on Facebook, Instagram, blah blah. I think I couldn't promote it on YouTube because I had a cigarette in my mouth, so I couldn't run it as an advertisement because it was promoting smoking. So I don't know how, like, I'm not Ludacris or something. I think about, like, that Blueberry Yum Yum video. He was Ludacris, but that video had to be on BET Uncut. Or you had to, like, find it, and it was like you had to, like, dig for it on YouTube. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's Ludacris. He's a pretty famous artist, but with the Blueberry Yum Yum video, you had to like dig for it. So at this point, I was like debating if I want to just like throw like my part of the song at the end of one of the other videos, potentially. But because like when I'm just rapping, I don't necessarily have to like, I don't need weed with me. But the chorus is all about smoking weed. You know what I'm saying? So I don't really know how much of that is something that I could put out there and market video-wise. Song quality-wise, it's great song. I produced the whole project, self-produced project, Still Bitter. I'm going to produce my shit going forward. I mean, I'll work with people who I want to work with. I like, love my boy Nate. Love his beats. So, and if you're hearing this, bruh, you gotta send me that extension, or you gotta extend that beat. It just hit me. I hit him back like, yo, bro, extend this beat real quick. And, or just send me the stems. That could work. But, yeah, he didn't send me that extended beat back. But, yeah, I fucks with Nate's beats. But other than that, like, I'm probably just gonna do everything, like, in-house, you know, going forward. So October 8th, ladies and gentlemen, Still Bitter is coming. The music is just fire, man. It's just a great project. It's just great. It's just great, all right? So you guys are going to love it. I love it. That means you guys are going to love it because it's just great music, man. The next project is most likely going to be called Content. I was thinking it was going to be called Happy, but no. It's going to be called Content. I think happy is a little much, man. You're saying a little much there, bruh. I'm content, my nigga. Not yet happy. You don't go from still bitter to happy in a course of a calendar year, ladies and gentlemen. Maybe you do. Life, a lot of shit could happen in 12 months, you know? A lot of shit could happen. A lot of shit could definitely happen. And we're going to have a storm tomorrow. That's cool. Shout out to the weather app for letting me know that. Shout out to some more heat, some more thunder. Lil Nas X just dropped his Montero album, and it's fucking... I haven't listened to the whole album. I think I listened to like half of it. Maybe a little more than half. But what I've heard is fucking amazing. Ladies and gentlemen, how far did I get? So there's 15 tracks. And I got up to 8. Yeah, I got up to the 8th track. And yeah, I was listening to the 9th. I think I turned it off at that point because I was working on videos for Still Bitter. And so I was like, I'm just busy. I'm just always busy, I feel like. And to just sit there and listen to music sometimes, it's like, all right, I gotta do something. I gotta do something. But from what I heard, this shit is phenomenal. I mean, it's not like, I gotta do something. Like, if I'm like out and about and I'm listening to music, like, I've gone back. I mean, I was already fucking with Montero ever since that came out. That was fire. But he's got the song Dead Right Now, which is just fucking amazing. Just breaker, 911, somebody come get this bitch. Like, he just fucking, he's super original. His shit's just fire, man. So, if y'all have not heard Lil Nas X's Montero, man, you guys need to do yourself a fucking favor. I never heard this dude, Jack Harlow, or maybe I heard him rap on, like, the remix to Killer. Yeah, that was probably the only other time I've heard him rap. I didn't really care for his verse on there, but on Industry Baby here, Jack Harlow, I think he floated pretty nicely on there. He's got Doja Cat on here. That's pretty fire. It says he's got a song with Elton John. I gotta go back and listen to that. I don't really remember Elton John or what he did on there. I don't really remember. But yeah, this album's Scoop that he has with Doja Cat, that's fire. This album is just good. It's just good music, ladies and gentlemen. So if you have the time and you want to hear some dope new music, some inspiring new music, man, check out this new Lil Nas X album because it's fucking amazing, ladies and gentlemen. It's pretty amazing. And something else that I saw that's pretty amazing, and I don't feel like it's getting too much like mainstream coverage. You gotta be like a person like me who's like obsessed with MMA to probably have seen this. Ariel Helwani reported initially, I think he's the only person with the scoop on this whole story. Ariel Helwani reported that several industry influencers have reached an agreement together to create a new MMA league that is structured in a way more like the NBA, NHL, NFL, rather than the typical MMA promotion. This is pretty fucking amazing. If you're not understanding the typical MMA promotion being like the UFC, Bellator, they're saying they're creating a fight league that's going to look like more like the NBA, NHL, you know what I'm saying, rather than what we've been seeing with current fight promotions. This new league also includes an athlete association that implements a collective agreement. There's no bargaining. Just, I don't know. I'm saying there's no like as I'm reading this, the word bargaining is not there. It just says collective agreement, but you know, CBA. That's how I. Anywho, so the implements a collective agreement with 50-50 income participation. It's a 50-50 split, ladies and gentlemen. End of career insurance and a pension plan. This is something fighters have never had as far as MMA is concerned. I don't know if boxing has that. I think most places, as far as like combat sports, don't have retirement plans for the athletes. The plan is to announce the company in the next few days, is what it says, and it would launch estimated 2023. So in 2 years, they're estimated to launch this, and it was announced the name is the It's the WFL, or the World Fight League, is what it's going to be called. It says the new league is structured as a non-profit where independent franchise owners will roster a team of athletes signed from free agency or via the league entry draft. I'm very interested in that. Very interested in what a draft is going to look like. Like a fighter draft. How many picks do you get? Like, is it just like, is it intergender draft? Do you get the same amount of picks like to draft men and women, or is that two separate drafts? That's pretty interesting to me. I don't think it should be two separate drafts. I think it should be one draft. I think it should be one draft. But that's going to be interesting. It also says each team will compete in home and away competitions in a traditional league format, vying for a playoff spot. That's fucking interesting. As I said, it's gonna. It's gonna be more like the NBA, the NHL. So there's gonna be home and away competitions, and they're really vying for a playoff spot. So I'm curious, like, how does that look? Like, how often are these competitions? How often are the people on these teams fighting? Like, there's a lot of questions, I feel like, that need to be answered. I mean, they got 2 years to put this together as their... I mean, they have all the time in the world. They don't have to launch in 2023. We don't know what's going to happen in the future. You know what I'm saying? They don't have to launch in 2023, but this is the framework of the announced league. Continuing. The owners and the athletes are governed by the league's bylaws and collective bargaining agreement, that word is there, which is enforced by the commissioner and board of governors. Ladies and gentlemen, I think this World Fight League will and could very well end the UFC, man. You're talking about paying the athletes much more than they get anywhere else. You're talking about giving people pensions. Fucking, oh my God. Like, what was the word? The end of career insurance. End of career insurance. The medical insurance. There's no medical insurance in the UFC for fighters. They claim that all the fighters are independent contractors, but at the same time, they're independent contractors that have to sign an exclusive contract. So they can't go and fight over here if it makes more money. They can't just go fight Jake Paul as an independent contractor if it makes more money because they're signed under contract to the UFC. And they don't get health insurance. And they didn't get a lot of the shit that this league is going to give them. And I think this could very well end the UFC, man. I'd give it 10 years from now if this podcast is still going, which I hope it is. I don't know if we will still be talking about the UFC or we're going to be like, remember when the UFC ran the MMA world? Remember when that was a thing? I think that might be more so of what we're going to see. Because this is pretty major, ladies and gentlemen. Like, I don't feel like a lot of people are talking about this. I think it kind of like it kind of was announced and went by. But, like, this is fucking major, ladies and gentlemen. This could end the UFC. I mean, I'm thinking, like, belts are only as prestigious as we perceive them. You know? If all of a sudden everybody thought, and the perception was that the Canadian Football League was where the elites play, then all of a sudden winning the championship in the Canadian Football League sounds more prestigious than winning a championship in the NFL. So it only takes a perception for the World Fight League to become the more prestigious championship. It only takes a perception that all the top wrestlers want to go wrestle over at AEW for that to be the prestigious belt and not that fucking red belt or whatever. I haven't seen the show. It might be different now. But that's not the prestigious belt. That's not where people see the prestige. That's not where we perceive prestige. We think the top guys are over there. It's all about our perception. You know what I'm saying? It's all about our perception. So this is going to be pretty interesting. Can't wait for 2023. I really want to see what's going to happen with this when it happens, man. They're saying, like, some of the owners are, like, ex-football players, basketball players, some fighters, movie stars. Like, I want to see it, man. I want to know who's involved. I want to know how it's going to go, man. What are going to be the rules? Because it's its own league. They can have their own rules. I wonder how this is going to be real interesting. Very interesting. This past weekend, we had UFC Vegas 37. We had Montel Jackson, Milwaukee's own Montel Jackson, taking on JP Buys. I predicted that Montel Jackson was just going to mop the fucking floor with JP Buys. JP Buys, in the first round, had real good grappling. He was attempting a lot of submissions. It was kind of even in the first round. But then after that, Montel's just dropping this man. Like, just dropping this man in the stand-up. He's just all over JP Buys. Just dominates this man. JP Buys is also like cheating. He's cheating throughout this fight, holding the inside of Montel Jackson's glove. At one point, well, multiple points, he's fucking like Jackson is like, they're in the clinch up against, like, on the fence, and Buys would reach out, grab the fence, and pull himself over. And the ref is not doing shit about it. He needs to be taking points. He just keeps saying, don't grab it, don't grab it. And the nigga is just like, whatever, grabs the fence, pulls himself over, and the ref does absolutely nothing. Repeatedly. I'm like, why don't you shut the fuck up? Stop screaming threats when you keep watching this man cheat and you're not going to do anything about it. So, like, shut up. It's not really fouls, or there's, like, if you're not going to penalize him for it, then shut the fuck up. But congratulations to Montel Quick Jackson, man. He's a fucking beast. He's got the most knockdowns in a UFC bantamweight fight. Yeah, man, he's just a beast. He's a beast. He was looking pretty big. Looked like he added some muscle, man. Like, he's looking pretty big in there. So shout out to Montel Jackson. He's on the rise. He looks pretty good in there, so shout out to him. Shout out to Milwaukee's own Montel Jackson. The fighter I was most interested in seeing, Armin Tsarukyan return to action versus Christos Giagos, and Armin Tsarukyan finishes Christos Giagos in one round via TKO. Yeah, it wasn't a long fight at all. It wasn't a lot to take from it. He walked out of there pretty much unscathed. And he called out Dan Hooker, which I thought was pretty weird. I was like, Dan Hooker's scheduled to fight next week. But he calls out Dan Hooker. And then Michael Bisping was like, well, he's scheduled to fight. And he was like, yeah, but I hear there may be some trouble with that. And I was like, what the fuck does that mean? So then I look and I read that apparently Dan Hooker is having visa issues. They're having a lockdown is currently in place in New Zealand right now. And I mean, currently, I just said that. But because of that, it's at the U.S., the American Embassy in New Zealand, but nobody's in the office because of the lockdown. So they were telling him that they could finalize it by the end of next week, which he fights on Saturday, so in Vegas. So that wouldn't work. So he went to Twitter and was like, yo, I need help. I just need to do this publicly. And then, like, the outpour of MMA Twitter, like, coming at these people, they, like, set up a meeting. So he says that he's meeting with them tomorrow. He somehow was able to get a meeting through Twitter to hopefully get into America to fight Nasrat Haqparast on Saturday. But if not, my boy Armin Tsarukyan is calling out Dan Hooker, which I feel like is shooting for the stars almost. Like, I feel like that's a pretty big call out there. But I book it. I want it. I want to see it, man. So if he can't get here to fight Nasrat Haqparast, then book that. And if not, then book him versus Beneil Dariush. I don't think Beneil Dariush currently has a dance partner. So, and he's number 3. So book him versus Armin Tsarukyan. Let's see that fight. Then you had Devin Clark, man. He got dominated by Iwan Cutelaba. Cutelaba is known for being like a heavy striker and just going balls to the wall, throwing punches at you in the first round and tiring himself out. But in this fight, he just used his wrestling. He's got a wrestling background that he pretty much never uses. And he used it here and wrestled Devin Clark and beat him up with this ground and pound. Yeah, man. I just don't know if, like, this is the sport for Devin Clark, man. He just doesn't seem like... I don't know, man. When I watch him fight, it's like, yeah, you trained. You can do it. You can fight. But I don't know if he is mentally there and like where he needs to be to fight at this level, fight these people who are fighting at this level. And then I was thinking that, and then like right before the last round, he had like some damage to his teeth, and he was saying like to his dad like, and his coach is like, "Oh, what do you think?" And like showing him his teeth, he's like, "You think I should keep fighting?" And that's like he's looking for an out. You know what I'm saying? He's like, "What do you think? You think I should keep fighting?" That's someone he wants him to say, "Nah, man, that looks pretty bad. You should stop." Like he's looking for an out. And then his dad was like, but he was like, "What do you think? You think I should keep fighting?" And his dad was like, "Well, if you think you can keep fighting, keep fighting." And then he was like, "Well, yeah, I guess I'll keep fighting. That's surgery anyway." And it's like, all right, man. I don't think like, and I saw somebody post, like ESPN like posted like, "How tough is this guy? That's surgery anyway," with that quote. It's like, why don't you quote the fact that he was just trying to quit? He was literally looking for a way out right before saying that. I don't know if this is the sport for him. I think Devin Clark should do something else with his time. In the main event, we had Anthony Smith versus Ryan Spann. So we were like, in the face-offs, Ryan Spann like wouldn't look Anthony Smith in the eyes in the face-off. They're supposed to look each other in the eyes. He just looked down. I was like, that's weird. And then in the main event, you know, the ref brings them together before they start the fight, and he's just like talking. "We went over the rules in the background, blah, blah, blah." They come together, and Ryan Spann once again looks down. He won't look at Anthony Smith, and I was like, I don't like that energy at all. And as Anthony Smith is walking to the ring, if we're backing up a bit here, to me, he looked like he did when he was coming out to fight Glover Teixeira, like super amped up, ready to go. And I was like, I don't like that, because he like blew his load early and was tired and got dominated in that fight, losing teeth. You know what I'm saying? He himself is getting beat up in there and losing teeth against Glover Teixeira when he was coming out looking the way he was looking in this fight. So I was like, I don't like this. But as I found out afterwards, it was because like apparently Ryan Spann had been talking hella shit leading up to the fight. Been talking hella shit. So he was just like extra motivated to go in there and whoop his ass. And Anthony Smith finishes Ryan Spann in one round, ladies and gentlemen. Finishes. Ryan he dropped this man like early. And then he dropped him again 1 minute later. And, like, I was, like, typing. Like, Smith is, like, just controlling him on the ground. Like, beating him up. And then, like, right as I was typing it, he, like, locked up the choke. And Spann tapped. And then there was sort of a scuffle. Because, like, after he tapped, like, Anthony Smith, like, stood over him. Like, what was all that shit you were talking about? All that shit you were going to do to me? You know what I'm saying? And then, like, security had to run in and separate him. But it looked like it calmed down after that. Anthony Smith calls out Alexander Rakic for a rematch. And Rakic immediately responds via Twitter that he is free in December. So they ask Anthony Smith, like, they say, hey, Rakic actually responded already and said he's free in December. What do you say about that? And Anthony Smith said, Merry Christmas to me. So I would love to see that rematch. I think Anthony Smith looks much improved. He's got, not two first-round stoppages. If I'm correct, or maybe it was. I don't know if they allowed Dawson to come out in the second round. I think they may have. And if they did, it was finished, but, like, right away. And it should have been a first-round finish. But, yeah, he's got two finishes. Anthony Smith's looking great. He's looking much improved. He's got new focus. He's putting on muscle himself. So, yeah, I'd like to see it. Shout out to Anthony Lionheart on the great win, man. As I've said, I thought he was going to be the champion. Back when DC went up and became champ, and I was like, DC's not coming back down to 205. I was like, the next champion is going to be either Thiago Santos or Anthony Smith. And then they reinstated John Jones. So that's what happened. they reinstated John Jones. Yeah, that's what happened. So that's UFC Vegas 37. Another fight that was real hype for the weekend was Yoel Romero making his debut versus Phil Davis. And man, I tweeted out like right before the fight starts, I'm like, Yoel is 44 and has been washed for a long time now. That's what I tweeted before the fight, and the fight happens, and they're like, oh my God, here's the statue of God again. He's just standing there with the guard like he did against Adesanya, just waiting for Phil Davis to come in on him so he can hopefully, like, counter, but he's just standing there with this guard up, and, like, just, like, not doing anything. And then he had some spurts later on where he was coming at him, but, like, it was just, he's old, man. He's 44 years old, okay? And he looked like Evander. He's falling all over. His balance isn't there anymore. He's looked washed for years. Definitely since fucking Robert Whittaker stomped on his knee and he had to get that surgery. He hasn't looked like Yoel since that. He's 44 years old. And he just got beat up. And at the end of the fight, Yoel was like, it's a 3-round fight. And at the end of the fight, Yoel is like, I thought it was 5. Get that man out of there. Get that man out of there. What do you mean you thought it was 5 rounds? Get that man out of there. Bellator just took another hit also. They says I saw that Anthony Rumble Johnson, he's out of the Grand Prix with an illness, a pretty bad illness. I saw that it was like, it said that it was the scariest thing, or he's scared for his life right now. So it sounds pretty serious. I didn't read too into it. Obviously, I'm not giving you too much information, but Rumble Johnson is now out of the Grand Prix. Yeah. Damn, weren't they gonna book Rumble Johnson versus Yoel Romero? That would have ended terribly for Yoel. This man's 44, and he's declined in every fight since that second Whittaker fight. But y'all like the video, y'all like the interviews, y'all like the quotes, y'all like them quotables. Guess them quotes could take you far. Get that man out of there. Next weekend, ladies and gentlemen, we got UFC 266, headlined by Alexander Volkanovski versus Brian Ortega. And as I told you guys here before, I think Alexander Volkanovski is going to beat Brian Ortega's fucking ass. He's going to beat his fucking ass easily. I think he's going to finish him, actually. He's going to beat his fucking ass. I don't think... They were like, oh, Brian Ortega is so improved in the Korean Zombie fight. I think Korean Zombie fought the kind of fight that Ortega needed in order to look good. To look like he's improved after he got his fucking ass beat by Max Holloway. And now he's going to go in there not that improved. Not that improved. He's a little more patient. Not that improved. His style is the same. And he's going to go in there and he's going to get his fucking ass beat by Alexander Volkanovski. That's my prediction for that fight. And you got to wait for Saturday for that one. He's going to go in there and get his fucking ass beat. Then in the co-main event, you got Valentina Shevchenko, who I believe is the best fighter in the world. Male, female, best fighter in the world. Valentina Shevchenko, defending her belt versus Lauren Murphy. And I guess you ain't got to wait till Saturday. I would be so hyped if Lauren Murphy won this fight. You know, seeing how, like, I think it was she didn't start training until she was 30, and, like, now she's here looking incredible, fighting the champion. You know what I'm saying? So it would be amazing if Lauren Murphy won this fight. But I gotta go with the best fighter in the world, Valentina Shevchenko. She's the best fighter in the world. And so I'm going to have to go with Valentina. Especially against someone who didn't start training until they were 30. I mean, you've made it this far, but she's actually been training since she was in her mom's womb. Her mom was a kickboxer, if I think I'm correct. She's like Muay Thai kickboxer or some shit like that. So like, she's been training since in the womb, ladies and gentlemen. I think she's gonna win this fight. Then you got Nick Diaz versus Robbie Lawler. A lot of people are hype about that. They're like, next week, it's Nick Diaz time. Yeah, next week it's Nick Diaz time. Nick ain't fought in a while. He ain't fought in a long time. Alright? And y'all be like, oh yeah, but he's Nick. Alright, okay. He is Nick Diaz. But he ain't fought in a long time. If anything, keep y'all expectations low. Because Nick hasn't fought in a long time. And you're like, yeah, but he fought Robbie before. He and Robbie had a great fight. Nigga, when's the last time you got hyped for a Robbie Lawler fight? Who's the last person Robbie Lawler beat? Jesus Christ, dude. Robbie Lawler? Are y'all really fucking hyped to see Robbie Lawler? Y'all are crazy. Robbie Lawler last fought Neil Magny. I forgot about this fight. Got beat by Neil Magny. Forgot that even happened. Then 2019, got beat by Colby Covington. Got beat by Ben Askren. Didn't fight at all in 2018. 2017, that's where we have to go back. We have to go back 4 years. Well, he lost in December 2017 to Rafael Dos Anjos, and he beat Donald Cerrone. All right? He beat Donald Cerrone 4 years ago. That was his last win. I don't think that win has aged too well. And before that, he was knocked out by Tyron Woodley. His win before that, Carlos Condit in 2016. You guys hear what I'm saying right now? I don't know what's telling you guys that this is going to be an amazing fight. But I know that Robbie Lawler hasn't impressed me too much in the past few years. He's actually done nothing but lose. All right? And I've argued when they cut Tyron Woodley. And I'm like, look at fucking Robbie Lawler just hanging around. Losing repeatedly. The same age. Ranked lower. Tyron was the champion. First loss on the streak. Then lost to fucking what? Who's this next loss? Gilbert Burns, who then fought for the belt and is in the top 5. Then he loses to Colby Covington. And then he loses to Vicente Luque, who's now a top 5 guy. A top 6, top 5 guy. And then they're like, cut that guy. But meanwhile, Robbie Lawler is losing to Neil Magny. Robbie Lawler is losing to everybody. He's losing to everybody. He's the same age, and he's just hanging around. What makes you guys think this is going to be a great fight? I don't understand it. I'm real skeptical. This fight should be the first fight on the card in the early prelims, regardless of name value. Put him at the first fight and fill that bitch up from the start to the end of that shit. But it's silly to me, honestly. I think it's quite silly that people think they're going to get like a great fight out of here. Nick Diaz ain't fought in how fucking long? Let's see. We can see it right here. Since 2015. Nick ain't fought since 2015 in a draw with Anderson Silva. And then, he didn't fight at all in 2014. 2013, he lost the fight to George St. Pierre. And then didn't fight for a year, fought to a draw against Anderson Silva. And now he's going to come back at age 38 to fight age 39-year-old Robbie Lawler. And you guys are like, fuck yeah! We're getting Lawler versus Diaz too. Nigga, all I'm saying is, like, y'all need to just relax with your expectations for this fight. All right? Just bring your expectations down a little bit, because I don't think this is going to be as pretty as we'd like it to be. I think it's an old guy fight. It's an old guy fight. All right? Who's he fighting next? Well, I think Carlos Condit just retired. So we lost that chance. Who's he going to fight next, man? They're talking about 38-year-old Nick Diaz, who hasn't fought since 2015, is talking about fighting Jorge Masvidal next. They're hyping that up, and I'm not into that at all. Unless all of a sudden, magically, he looks fucking phenomenal on Saturday. But I think y'all need to really bring it back with your expectations for what you're going to get from 38-year-old Nick Diaz versus 39-year-old Robbie Lawler. Think about what you've seen from Robbie Lawler lately. Think about how you just seen Nick Diaz not fight but just drunk all the time, partying. That's how you've seen him live his life the past few years until last year when they're putting out videos of like, oh, he's working out now, he wants to fight. This should all factor into the fact that this is probably going to be a really bad fight. You know, I'm going to watch it regardless because I'm going to watch the whole fucking card. But I'm telling you guys, like, this fight there's too much hype for this fight. It's not going to be a good fight. I don't think so. It could be, but I doubt it. And if you guys want to talk shit to me about that take, you could follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Babylon5Pod. You can follow my personal accounts at My Name's Jermaine. You can email this podcast at Babylon5podcast@gmail.com. You can follow this podcast at Babylon5.podbean.com. You can listen to this podcast on Podbean, Stitcher, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, YouTube, pretty much anywhere podcast stream. If you guys are on Xbox, go ahead and add me. My gamer tag is SauceBoss414. If you guys are on Twitch, go ahead and follow me at twitch.tv/Babylon5. If you guys want to buy some merchandise, go to teespring.com/store/BOFpod-shop. And don't just be my Negroes, be my patrons. Be my patrons. Go to patreon.com/Babylon5pod. And this has been episode 109. First grade, my nigga. We would, back with Miss Nokovich's class, I remember in kindergarten, before I went to room 109, I was in Miss Rando's class in kindergarten. I was in Miss Rando's class in kindergarten, and when we did our kindergarten graduation, we sang our remix, you know. So now we made it there, we'll make it anywhere. We're on our way, first grade. That's what they'd have us sing. As a little boy, I had never heard New York, New York. You know what I'm saying? I'm singing a song that I'm singing, and years later, I'm like, oh, well, she had us singing some Sinatra. Oh, well, she had us remixing some Sinatra out here. So shout out to Miss Nogovich, as per usual. Best music teacher anybody could have ever possibly asked for. I think it's Priscilla Nokovich. Shout out to the greatest music teacher of all time. This has been, as I said, episode 109. I'm getting out of here. Hope you guys are taking care of yourselves and each other. Go out there and stream the video for Buzzed. If you haven't, Buzzed is out there. It's available to just the audio form is available on SoundCloud. It's not available on the streaming services, although the other streaming services, until October 8th. So, yeah. So go check out that Buzzed video. Tell me how much you hate it. Just leave some feedback. Do what you can. Go check out Buzz on YouTube. And as I say, I hope you guys are taking care of yourselves and each other. And I'll see you when I see you. I'll holla.
Chant down Babylon kingdom. Team make we chant down Vatican now. Bang the ling, chant down Babylon kingdom. Team make we chant down Vatican now. Chant down Babylon kingdom. Team make we chant down